Well, hello, Year 10, and welcome to my recording for you for your lesson today, which is tomorrow when I'm recording it, but then time travel is something that I've always been quite good at. Welcome back to Geography. Happy New Year and hail, and I hope you're all good. I hope you're remembering about those convection currents, Tyler, and other elements and things that you need to make sure they're in the front of your minds. There's a little bit of help here. I'm leaving it up here for a while. This is on the first page of your slide that's in your Google Classroom, just in case some of you are having issues. No names, Leo. That might be one of the issues we've found. Today, we're starting a new topic. It's urbanisation. You've got the knowledge organiser, so you should be able to figure out some of the key terms and what's going on with help from that knowledge organiser today. But what we're looking at is urbanisation. Now, before we go into urbanisation and we talk about what urbanisation is, I'd like to have a quick recap and a recall. So what I like to do is start you off and ask you to pause me while you do these starting do it nows on the other document in your Google Classroom, and you can type it because it's nice and quick. Type it, so pause me, type it up, spend a couple of minutes, and then come back to me. Paused. Okay, unpaused. Hopefully you've done that, and you've clearly gone. A geological hazard is something that is within the earth. It's tectonic, isn't it? It's an earthquake. It's a volcano. If you haven't, use your tappies and made it up and make it purple, and then you know that that's the thing that you missed. And when I look at your work, I can see that that's something maybe that we need to keep going back over and over again. Oceanic plates different from continental plates. You might have got this, you might have forgotten this, but remember, oceanic plates are formed underneath the water. So when they're formed, they're under pressure. So the crystal structure is smaller, so they're more dense. They're densely packed, more tight. They're quite resistant. Whereas continental crusts are formed above ground, aren't they? So they're less under pressure, more aerated. So oceanic plates are denser, tighter packed, and continental plates are less dense. So therefore, we get continental plates are going above, and the oceanic plates being subducted below, don't we? Things that make the hazard risk greater include wealth, don't they? Wealth. We know that high-income countries do better when there's a natural disaster, even of the same size, like in New Zealand and Nepal, even if it's exactly the same magnitude of earthquake. Now we know that the results are different because of wealth. So Nepal, for example, suffered greatly compared to New Zealand, and the recovery was much slower in Nepal compared to New Zealand. So we know that that's one of the biggest things that makes a difference. If you're not sure, take a look at your green revision guides. There's lots of good information in there. There are other things as well, like proximity and stuff like that, but that's the big one. The focus in the epicenter, where the earthquake happens, in the plate, wherever it is, on the crack, on the boundary in the plate, is the focus of the earthquake, and it radiates out, and bang, when it hits the surface, the most direct above point is the epicenter, and it's usually the worst place to be if there's an earthquake. Reasons that people live near hazards. You remember that there's lots of reasons, but this is geography, so think about places, okay? Think about a place that someone lives where there's volcanic or tectonic hazards or atmospheric hazards. Think why they live there and what will their reasonings be. Okay, so take Iceland, for example. In Iceland, there are volcanoes, there are some earthquakes, there are hazards, therefore, that are associated with them, like ash clouds and magma and stuff like that, and shaking in buildings. But why do people live there? They live there because they've got access to geothermal heating and power for free from the ground, which is amazing. They've also got minerals there and good soils, you know. Places like Sicily, Mount Etna in Italy, which is a lovely place to go and visit. There's loads of jobs and tourism because it's beautiful. It's on a volcano, it's high up, it's clear, it's wonderful. But the soil is amazing. Okay, it's so fertile because of the sodium, because of the nitrogen, because of the other elements, magnesium and so forth, that come up from the bottom of those plates, those cratons, and they're brought up and they're pumped out as magma and lava, and therefore they degrade, break down, and they just fill that soil so full of goodness that you can grow pretty much anything. Also, you've got minerals within those rocks coming up. So you've got gold, you've got diamonds, you've got copper, you've got iron, you've got all kinds of different mineral wealth, which might be another reason why people live near hazards. And the final reason we talked about is that you might not have a choice, and it might be where you grew up and your family are. So we talk about the word inertia. It's where you tend to be because it's where you've been and your family's been. Anyway, What you need to do now is pause me and update that so that when I look in your Google Classroom, I can see the purple notes you've added from what I've just said. So on T, off T. Okay, pause on, done. Urban issues and challenges is where we're going. Don't forget to do your KOs. They're really important that you learn this information and knowledge, and then I try and get you to apply this information and knowledge. Even in lockdown, I'll get you to apply the information and knowledge and learn how to answer these exam papers and so on and so forth. Geography, we recommend flashcards. Flashcards are great. You put your information on your flashcard, you write questions on the back, you test yourself. The ones you don't know, you keep coming back to. The ones you do know, you celebrate with a sacrificial burning or something. No, you don't burn them, it's dangerous. But you don't do the ones you know, you do the ones you don't know. There's your knowledge organizer. And we're going to go flying through urbanisation here, cause of urbanisation, types of cities, Bristol, 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 Lagos, 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 Lagos. And that's where we're going. Really quickly, quick fire, that's where we're going. It's one of the best units, it's nice and rapid. And there's some really interesting stuff here about the world in general and where we're going. First task here, there's a video, you can hear it. A video playing there. What I want you to just watch it, and I just on your document, on your other document, I'd like you to make some notes of what you're thinking, what you're seeing, what you're wondering, and what you're feeling from it. Okay, that's what I'd like you to do. I'm just going to skip through that because you can do that on your own time. I will see your work afterwards because that's what I do. Here we've got a nice picture of Tokyo. Greater Tokyo is what is pretty much the world's biggest city. It's one of the oldest mega cities as well. A mega city, by the way, is somewhere where it's over 10 million people. Here's a separate video here. I'd like you to watch it and answer these questions on your document. By 2050, what percentage of people are likely to be living in urban areas? Just before you go into these questions, just a little aside as a geographer. 1851. 1851. The census of 1851 in the UK. What was special about it? It was the first year in the UK when there were more people living in urban areas than in rural areas. So more people in towns and cities than in the countryside. So therefore, in 1851, we became an urbanized country. Think how long ago that was. And now think about where these countries in low-income countries, they're only just starting to become urban countries. Only just now in 2020, 2021. That's 170 years later after us. 170 years it's taken them to get to the point where their cities and towns are able to sustain the population that is moving from the countryside. So that's our difference in levels of development between a hick country and a lick country. And it's really interesting. And one of the nice questions they like to ask you in exams is why are rates of urbanisation higher in lick countries than hick countries? And it's because we've already done it. We did it 170 years ago. We haven't got people to move into the cities anymore. In fact, we've got the opposite happening. People like me are moving from cities like Bristol down to rural North Devon to get away from crime, drugs, pollution, and going to the nicer parts. So we've got the opposite starting to happen. It might be that the human population trend in the future is for rural living again on a sustainable way as we desert cities and towns, which is interesting. Anyway, that was a big aside. Anyway, do that task. Pause me if you want. When you've done that task, when your document come back, the video to go with it, and make sure you're watching. Okay, what we've put together now is a couple of really, really smart lessons and smart things to do from a teacher called Mrs. Marshall from Oak National Academy. The link's there. Click it. Do the test on your document, not on paper. She says do it on paper, but do the little quiz on your document, not on paper. Do some screenshots of your exit quiz, or just tell me what your score was out of 5. That's fine. I'm happy with that. We've got slightly smaller lessons. We've been asked to just over an hour's worth of work with you, so that should take you a good portion of time. Get stuck in. I'll have a look at what you come up with, and I'll look forward to it. There are some exam style questions, and there's some really good guidance and really good advice here. Here I go. Don't do this. The start quiz on this one. Go to the video and play from 2 minutes 50. Complete the tasks. Do this pausing and stuff when she says. She's really good. Personal friend of Mr. Greenland's, I believe. And it's really good. It's good geography. And that will be your first task on a Friday in geography in lockdown 2. Here's a little clip of a crazy mad person base jumping which I believe stands for bridge, something, structure, something, but it's about jumping off things that aren't very high indeed. And this guy, look, you can see he's jumping off. It looks high, but it's not actually that high, is it? Anyway, we started a bucket list, a geography bucket list, things that you should do before you die. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Enjoy. Goodbye.